Hey everybody, it's RJ, your host, and welcome to Hashitout. In this episode, I'll be speaking with Bello of Hall of Flowers about hosting events after over a year of pandemic-related closures and cancellations. We'll also discuss how allowing cannabis consumption at events can help normalize and de-stigmatize cannabis, how far cannabis normalization has come so far throughout the years, and more. Without further ado, let's hash it out. Hey everybody, my guest today is the head of sales and an owner at the cannabis industry event company Hall of Flowers. Welcome to the show, Bello. Hello, sir.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. One of the owners, as I told
One
you.
of the owners, yes.
Yeah.
One in a dream team of owners, as I understand. Yes, indeed. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for sitting down and having a conversation with me today. I really, really appreciate you taking the time. I know that we have caught you in a very serendipitous time as you have finished an event and you're getting ready for another event, so you're very much in between. I know you probably have a lot of moving parts right now, so just thank you again for sitting down and sharing your perspective for a few minutes. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no doubt. So as I mentioned, we'll just dive right into it here. Hall of Flowers completed its cannabis industry event conference industry event in Santa Rosa, California. That was on September 22nd and 23rd of this year. It was the first large-scale, in-person conference for the industry since the onset of the coronavirus pandemic in 2020. We've all heard of that. There were close to, from what I understand, 300 exhibitors with about 4,000 expected attendees. The event had numerous speakers, presentations, outdoor activations. So just looking back at the event now that it's just wrapped up, how did it go, and what were some of the highlights for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was unbelievable. I mean, there's so many highlights to talk about. I mean, first of all, I said this to you before we taped. I mean, first time the community is getting back together. It's been challenging for brands to meet retail, the buyers, whether it's a delivery or dispensary company. It's been challenging for them to do product demos. It's been tough for new companies to launch new brands during this time. Anyway, went unbelievable. I mean, even the precautions that we took, yes, it was mandatory by state guidelines to have masks indoors. We went another level up and, required either vaccination passes or COVID tests within 72 hours prior. We had COVID testing on site. So that was great. It gave a level of comfort both in the halls and outdoor. If you saw those videos where people were consuming, I think people felt safe to smoke a joint with each other, frankly.
Yeah.
So look, it went great. I mean, part of it is, you said what was good? Damn, there's so many good things. I mean, outdoor, yeah, those activations. I mean, yeah, there's Lowell and Rock Garden and Canna Craft did their usual shit, blasting music out there. Then you had companies, hardware like iSpire, Toki was out there with new product. The whole thing was amazing. I mean, I could go through area by area. Probably the biggest thing of the show is that I just told you, brands meeting buyers. If you look at what's happened since the last show, which was September of 19, the April 2020 got canceled. There's that many more delivery and dispensaries, retail, brick and mortar out there. I mean, if you look at it, in 2019, I believe we got about 342 unique buyers, okay? We had over 630 at this show. I mean, it's unreal.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you certainly surpassed expectations. I think you mentioned this also when we were, before we started recording here, that there was a lot of what seemed like anticipation and that pent-up energy since we've all been, trapped inside for the better part of over a year now. Yeah. So
I mean, that community, like that's you'll hear it, you can read about it on Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever, but you can see the community was so happy to get back together. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
I was pumped to get back in there. I think honestly, people, that energy, that buzz from that event of everybody getting the community coming back together again, everyone. I mean, yeah, you get new slick corporate people. You certainly get the legacy brands and growers and the OGs out there. But to see everybody all together again, nothing like it.
We've been in this pandemic. It certainly changed the way that we interact with each other in person. and certainly hindered a lot of that. You know, we are in very many ways literally physically distanced from one another. And yet the cannabis community and cannabis in and of itself lends itself to a communal experience, right? So what was it like after such a long year of shutdowns and distancing, a lot of which is still happening now, justfully? What was it like to then come back into the community and see people feeling comfortable to sesh again?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it wasn't exactly the same
Right.
as the past because indoors, you know, you're talking about that normal business to business, face to face transaction at the booth. You're wearing a mask, and you know. But that all being said, I mean, I don't believe it took away from anything. I think people were so happy to be back. We went through the rigorous procedures that we put in place to make sure that it was safe. I haven't heard of one case, one positive. So, you know, look, despite all that, you said it right. I mean, suddenly cannabis has gone from being controversial to suddenly essential in the last, 18 months. You know, now what goes along with that is that explosion, like I said, of on both sides, new brands, new buyers. I mean, new buyers even, look, California's been restricted. You think liberal California, they've been restrictive. And there's only so many, you know this, there's only so many towns, cities that allow the cannabis. So it's only not, you look at the legacy areas of Northern Cal, but look at Southern Cal too. I mean, what's growing down there? Not just, I know in Orange County it's been tough, only Santa Ana, but the growth of this market, I mean, you know, despite the pandemic, despite this, is incredible. And that, you know, you need a face-to-face platform to be able to demo your products, see everything, taste everything, meet with all the buyers, have the buyers make an educated decision on what brands they want, what flower they want, what extract they want, what do they want this to, you know, look, that only lends itself to really a more energized, a more experiential type of an event that we do. I mean, the more development and the more innovation, and you know, you said, what did I see? I saw innovation out the yin this time. I mean, man, I thought every which way to get high was already done. But
you had thought you had found all of the possible ways to consume cannabis, but
man, you know,
people stay on their toes out here, man.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, yes, I mean, we all know infused shit, but I mean, some of the stuff, it's just crazy.
Woo!
But I mean, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
And the devices, by the way. I mean, I know you know Puffco, and I know you know Dr. Dapper and these guys, but shit, it's like, sudden. You know, I always said, like, if I could just have an electronic bong, because I want a bong rip. Man, I got to tell you, they've just about reached perfection, these people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, oh, geez. And that reminds me of another great piece of programming we have here at trichomes.com called Tech in Cannabis. It's a show specifically geared toward talking about the latest tech in cannabis. And
sweet. I
mean, it has come a long way. It's intergalactic out there, man. That's what it seems like it's getting to be.
Yeah, you should check.
We're sending joints to space.
Dude, check out even Toki. Like, we haven't had them before, but check out some of their check out their hardware, man. I tell you, good stuff. Obviously, PAX. I don't want to forget my friends at PAX. Ida, if you're listening, love you guys.
There you go. And speaking of which, you know, the great leaps and bounds for humankind that we've made in terms of the various avenues of cannabis consumption, that all sort of really lends itself to, I guess, more or less the normalization of cannabis in our society. Of course, in this country, we still have federal cannabis prohibition. Yep. But, you know, the majority of states at least have medical cannabis legalization enacted there. So in many ways, it is, you know, vastly more accepted now than even just, you know, a decade ago. Yeah. Hall of Flowers, the most recent event that happened earlier this September, also featured, we mentioned this earlier, an on-site outdoor cannabis consumption element as an actionable step. Yeah, as an actionable step for buyers and sellers. And this is something that you started doing in 2018, I believe, when Hall of Flowers first kicked off. If I have the pronunciation of this name right, Angus Cawley, marketing lead for Hall of Flowers, said, quote, "Cannabis is a multi-sensory experience. You need to activate all five senses in order to know what you're getting yourself into, and taste is a vital component of this." So,
That's right.
you know, as you mentioned, Hall of Flowers was in 2018 definitely on that forefront of including cannabis consumption in cannabis events. Although cannabis consumption at cannabis events in and of itself is a relatively newer concept, just happening more in the past few years. So how does that element, in your view, shape the future of cannabis industry events going forward, to actually be able to have cannabis on site?
Look, first of all, it's a challenge, okay? It's not easy to do. It's still not widespread, even in the cannabis industry. You can't go to Champs or MJ BizCon or most of the events, unless it's a private home. When you're doing sales, there's tremendous oversight, obviously regulation from the Bureau of Cannabis Control. There's only so many, you know, I just told you about cities. You know, most of them in California, like I just told you, there's only so many that allow dispensaries. As far as exhibitions that allow consumption, I mean, you're talking about, I only know of two in the entire state of California, which is Santa Rosa and Cathedral City. So it's not widespread. Don't think it's out there at every show. It's simply not. Okay, not at least in the way that we do it. Now, look, tasting, sample, having consumption on site, that's part and parcel of the buying process. And so it needs to be part of our show. There's a business-to-business show. These are decision makers from the dispensaries and delivery companies making their decisions to put what product on their shelves. They gotta sample it. Okay. So at least as far as we're concerned, that's always going to be part of our events. For Vegas, it's premature. We're not allowed to yet. So that's one difference with this show out here than with our other shows. Now, if you look forward, okay, yes, you're going to see musical festivals where they allow consumption. Okay. Not Coachella. I don't think this year. I don't think, not Life is Beautiful. They didn't do it in Vegas a couple of weeks ago or last week, whenever it was. But you'll see that. Down the road, let's face it. I mean, and we talk with everybody, the goal here, and it's inevitable. Forget about cannabis events, sporting events, concerts, they'll all have cannabis consumption. It's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And speaking of that element being more integrated, not only into cannabis specific events, but just events in general, I envision a future where wherever they sell alcohol, they will also be selling cannabis.
You're envisioning correctly. Trust me.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
You know what, Eric? Nowadays, it's hard to tell what timeline we're in, what reality we've shifted ourselves into. So I'm glad I'm still on the right track, man. I'm glad I'm still envisioning on the right track. Yeah.
It's like we're in the Marvel universe. It's now a multiverse.
That's what I've been saying, man.
Sure but I mean, at least.
That's what I've been saying this whole time. We got to figure out what the Nexus event was that really split the timeline into all these branches, man. Because the TVA can't keep up with all the nonsense going on out there. No doubt.
There's a timeline where it's legal everywhere, and Spider-Man's getting high, and Iron Man's getting high, and man, they're doing it in every state in the country.
I would. Spider-Man has always been my favorite superhero, but I would love to be Spider-Man in that specific timeline. So if I don't know if Kevin Feige is watching, whoever's out there, Robert Downey Jr., put in a good word for me. I know you got tenure or whatever it may be. But speaking of cannabis consumption coming into events, it was recently announced that cannabis will be officially judged for the first time during the 2022 California State Fair. So along with, the best, the best kumquats out there, you could also have the best cannabis flower in the state of California. So what does, such a large event such as the State Fair in California, including cannabis in their event, what does that tell you about the normalization of cannabis over the years, and how cannabis and cannabis events can help normalize and therefore de-stigmatize cannabis in the mainstream?
Yeah, I think we're already trying to do that. I mean, if you look at our event, we try to elevate the status of the industry to be like any other, like you said, like beverage doesn't even have to be alcoholic
Yeah.
beverages. There's a show called Interbev. The bottom line is, like any other industry, as it matures, it's getting more savvy. The distribution channel is more robust. There's no doubt what you're talking about with California and them judging it. Look, it's going to become like, we can see the writing on the wall. Like with the wines of Napa and Sonoma, so will be the marijuana of, of Mendocino and Humboldt, and not just there. There's going to be craft ones that grow indoors, and this is going to go. Yeah, California is going to have a great reputation because of its legacy. That goes without saying. And by the way, that's it brings you right into why we're doing MJ BizCon. Why are we doing that? I mean, it's like, it goes hand in hand. I mean, you're promoting those best in California, like best in California wines. Mm-hmm. Now here we go. You may have Ferrari, Carano, and these, and they become national. Now here we go. We focused on what was, let's face it, all started in California. You could look at Colorado, say that was first, blah, blah, blah. Go back to the origins of California collectives and the history, the legacy growth. I know, I was going to say I don't look old, but I look old. I'm an old man. I've been doing this forever. I mean, you talk about those OGs that are in there. That's the first market. Also one of the bigger markets, obviously, but it's definitely the beginning. MJ BizCon, what does it offer you? And what have we been told? We have retailers, dispensaries from Michigan, from Illinois, from Massachusetts, from Toronto, where they already got 1,000 dispensaries up there. Wanting what? Wanting California brands to come, to bring them to other markets. I mean, so if you want, some of the greatest wines of Sonoma, Napa, that's what they were trying to do. I mean, this is no different than any other industry. What are we going to do? Ideally, look, Vegas is the place for a national industry show. I don't care whether it's the gun show or the consumer electronics show, Magic, the apparel show, the fashion week, the automotive show. So it's just when it becomes national, Vegas will be the place for all the brands and buyers to come together. For now, until, like you said, we're not in that. Unfortunately, we're not in a multiverse, and there's just this one year. And who knows? You're right. I mean, even with this liberal administration under Biden and Chuck Schumer trying, we don't know if it's going to be next year or the year after. So we will help as we go. We'll continue to brand ourselves in the way we do. We'll continue to provide a platform and elevate, the industry and put brands and buyers in the market on a pedestal to be able to conduct business, create brand awareness, and get their message across. I mean, that's it.
That brought up a question in my mind just now. How much do you think it is worthwhile to count on the federal government making any moves toward this? Because, for example, we've had cannabis banking in the works in the House for a long time. It's been passed 5 times now, most recently like last week. We've got all these bills that are like, they say they're moving through, they're coming through, all that. We're taking feedback, yada, yada, this and that. Yeah. In the meantime, other states have just gone ahead and done legalization themselves. Businesses are popping up. Mm-hmm. People are already profiting off of the legal industry. So how do we bridge that divide?
You say profiting, by the way, profiting off the industry. I mean, the regulation, the fact of the matter is you're also not allowed, you talk about no banking. Yeah. You can't deduct expense. You can't deduct normal expenses like a business. You're handcuffed. Okay. So there's a lot of challenges there. How confident am I in the federal government? 0.00, but look, I can't wait until, we can't wait until that's it. That's beyond our, all we can do is what's in our control. That's beyond our control. So, you set it up, you do it in the most effective and profitable way. And believe me, we're on all sides of the business, so I can tell you this firsthand. But, it's something that, look, for now, you work under the state, you work under the guidelines that are cognizant of the fact that, federally it's still illegal and there are challenges, but we all know that there's movement. I think the challenge there is I don't believe the movement is going to be that fast. I don't believe it's going to be in the next year or two. I think it's going to be, 4 or 5 years before we see national legalization.
Certainly, yeah. I could see that being a possibility too. It makes me wish there was a multiverse and we could maybe jump into one where they get it done a little bit faster.
Yeah, but the way that the United States is separated, everything's almost 50-50.
Totally.
It's going to be tough. It's just going to be
absolutely. Yeah, we're certainly in a more particularly divisive time, I would say, where it is, like you said, very 50-50, very very gridlock.
Yeah.
Very gridlock.
Never seen it. I mean, it's more divisive than I've ever seen in my life. So crazy.
Now, as I mentioned, we caught you just after the Hall of Flowers in Santa Rosa, California concluded. And you're now gearing up for the Hall of Flowers experience at MJ BizCon, which we've kind of alluded to throughout our conversation here. That's taking place, of course, in Las Vegas, Nevada from October 20th through the 22nd of this year. So coming up pretty soon, just a few weeks.
That's right.
What are you looking forward to the most, and what can people expect from this collaboration with one of the nation's largest cannabis industry events?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're looking forward to it. It's really, this is the opportunity finally, whether you're already an MSO, a multi-state operator. And by the way, this is what we are. We are what we are. We only are THC brands. We're not, the show's got everything. I mean, the show is a great event. Like you said, best out there. In the industry that represents the industry across the board, from lighting to nutrients to packaging to what we're going to bring to the table is what we bring to the table. We're bringing some of the best and biggest brands in the market, both multi-state operators like Select and Akiva, or, Candescent, or there's a whole range, all the way to brands that really haven't gotten much out of market, but they're some of the best flower products in the state of California. Ember Valley, one of them, just got off the phone with another, Amplified, Level, just some of the best. Willie's Reserve, which is actually out of Colorado, Willie Nelson's ownership in that company, also a big exhibitor at our show. But getting these brands, getting the plant-touching companies that are looking to go multi-state, that's what this is about, because the people coming, it's only two things. They're either representing a retail dispensary or they're representing money, investment capital to try to bring the brands to those markets.
Absolutely. And for our listeners and our viewers out there who are interested in finding out more of all you've got going on over at Hall of Flowers, where can they keep up on the World Wide Web on the latest happening at Hall of Flowers?
Yeah. I mean, look, just go to halloflowers.com. Keep up with us. Check us out on our Instagram. But look, I mean, just anybody, I'm open. Call me, Eric at halloflowers.com. Email me, and I'll get back to you in a minute. So
No doubt. We'll leave all that information in the description of this episode down below for y'all. And hey, Eric, thank you so much for offering your time and sharing your insight. I know, again, you've got a lot going on being in between these two events. So congratulations on completing the first one, and best of luck coming up next month at MJ BizCon.
All right, thanks. Thanks for your time, and hope to see you soon, my man. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in Vegas a lot, so yeah, we'll look each other up for sure.
Please.
Eric Bello, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. That is it for Hash It Out. I am your host, RJ Balde, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace out. Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out our channel. Click here to watch another episode of Hash It Out. To find more cannabis industry reporting, insider stories, and to stay up to date on the latest trends, make sure to subscribe and keep up with our Trichomes community app. Download it now for free, and we'll see you there.